Hi, my name is William, and today I'm going to show you how to replace the ignition switch on the PC200 excavator.
We also noticed from last time that a vent was missing, so we spoke with the customer and ordered one in, which we will also be installing in this episode. Welcome to Service Call, a mechanic's guide to service, troubleshooting, and repair. And on this episode...
Hold on, it's not turning backwards. And those vapors are highly explosive. Okay, we don't want to breathe all that stuff in, so that's why I'm outdoors, right? Okay, so they're all in place now. Okay. So we had this machine come in from rental, and we're going to be looking at a complaint from the customer. They're having problems with the key switch, all right? And when you put the key in, it's apparently not starting or something. So we're going to look at it. We'll troubleshoot it. If we can repair it, we'll get it repaired. If not, we're just going to have to replace it. We have a spare one here. So if we need to replace it, we will. So we have the key here. It's a master key. So we're going to try and put it into the ignition switch. And okay, so yeah, it is tight. I can see that the key is actually not going down all the way. I actually got to force it in all the way, and then it'll turn. Oh, hold on. It's not turning backwards. Ugh. Let me try the other way. So yeah, you go in, it stops right there, it's binding, and then I gotta wiggle it and shake it down. Okay, it works that way. It should have a heating position as well, and it's not working. It's very tight. Okay, so there could be some worn parts inside, you know, little pieces of metal that have fallen apart, maybe a spring here or there. And it's not allowing the tumbler to actually twist inside the ignition housing here. So yeah, there's definitely something wrong with it. Now, normal vehicles, if you look at this one here, they have they have an off position, then they have the run position, right, or on, and then the start, just like that. Okay. Because this is a machine, it's a more advanced machine. It has a heating unit, a heating element in the intake. Okay, right on the intake line, just before it enters the manifold, there's a little heating grid. And if you turn this key backwards, okay, you'll see that it's springy. It's spring loaded. All right. So what you do is you hold it for about 20 seconds before you start it. Okay, when it's cold outside. All right, under cold climates and things like that, you hold it about 20 seconds, and then you go to start it. Okay, that's why it has that backward position. Okay, and it's spring loaded. Okay, so it's momentary. This one here, the one on the machine, is actually not working. Okay, I gotta wiggle it in, and then it's very tight. I can't get it into the heat position that I was just showing you on this one. Okay, what we're gonna try is put some lubrication inside. We're going to try see if we can clean a little bit, get some lube in there. And if it's still binding and a little bit tight, we're just going to replace it with this new one. Okay? So let's do that. Okay, so I'm just going to spray a little bit of lubricant on the key on both sides. Okay? And we're going to try putting it into the ignition switch. Okay? It's still... No, you still got to work it. No, it's still tight. So it seems like something came apart inside. Something. So we're not going to waste any more time on this one. We're actually going to replace it with the new one. Okay, so before you start pulling out any electrical or ignition parts, what you need to do is disconnect the battery, remove the power from the electrical circuits, and that's what we're going to do right now. Okay, the other thing you'll notice is I'm wearing safety glasses. Whenever you work around batteries, you got to make sure you protect your eyes, okay? I know we deal with batteries every day, charging, boosting, and doing all these things, but they do release dangerous vapors, and those vapors are highly explosive. Okay, so just make sure that you always cover yourself in case your wrench tends to touch the ground, okay? Or they tend to touch both terminals together. So just make sure, always use safety, care. Okay. Okay, so what do we have here? We have a 12-volt system. It's a 24-volt system, okay? We're not going to go into the details of it, but we need to, you'll see that the positive is there. The negative from here goes to the positive on the other battery, and that's how I know it's a 24-volt system. So what I'm going to do here is disconnect the ground on this side, and it should be a 13 millimeter, yep, 13 millimeter wrench. Okay. Okay, so what I did now, just to be safe, remember we're working with the ignition switch. There's going to be live power there, okay? Or it may be a grounding circuit for the battery relay. So we want to make sure that everything is disconnected and the machine is de-energized. Okay? So that's what we've done there. We've removed the ground strap. So we're going to start pulling apart this console, okay? It's a little tight in here, but there's some screws on here. I'm hoping that we only have to remove a couple of them. There's one in the back as well. Usually in a normal car, these little covers and consoles, they just pop off, okay? But knowing this machine brand, like, I mean, these guys put screws and nuts everywhere, and they're very well secured. So we're gonna start by pulling off the boot on the joystick, right joystick, okay, on the operator control, and usually just pops off just like that. Okay, and you're gonna just lift it out of your way. Okay. Okay, so here you'll see that we have two 10 millimeter bolts. Okay, just remove them. Okay, that's holding our cover in place. Okay, I'm hoping that we don't have to remove too many. Make sure you don't lose any of these washers, okay? Keep everything in place. I'm putting everything in the ashtray there. Okay, you see it's loose. Okay, so remove the throttle. Okay, this is the throttle dial. I'm just going to put in the cup holder back there. Okay, and you see everything just comes right off. So that's great. Well, great for now. Let's see what's under here. Okay, this is a good sign, but let's see what. Okay. All right, bolts. Okay, we might be able to get this out of the way. Let me just play around with it a little bit. I'll see if I can put it through. Oh, just like that. Okay, so I'm just pushing the boot through this hole. Okay. If you find that, it's just too tight to get around the joystick, we ended up pulling out the light switch, okay? So we could actually make it easier to come around the joystick. Okay, so you might have to remove one or two of these switches. We're just gonna set this aside. Just like that for now. Okay. So now that we got this cover off, let's get this top, okay? And it's pretty loose. Yeah. Okay. And I'm hoping that the wires are long enough that I can pull it out of here, this area. If not, we're gonna have to remove these covers. Okay, it's gonna be a bit of a task, but I'm hoping that we can remove it right from here. Okay, now remember your key switch is gonna want to fall down. Okay. See if it's long enough. Okay. Yeah, it's a little busy down there. Okay, you have more wires going in through there. A couple of braces I can feel. And also, just trying to grab it. No, it's going to be a little bit tight to get out of there. I think we're going to have to remove these side covers. Yeah. If we can remove these side covers, it'll make it much easier. So we're going to have to loosen these screws right here, the ones that we see on the side. Okay, this one and that one. Then this cover will, and this bolt here, and this cover will loosen off a bit. Okay, because right now it's a little bit tight through here. Under here you also have some electrical cables. Okay, this is our hydraulics. So this one here, I believe is it electronic? No, this one here is hydraulic. Okay, so it's got hydraulic pilot controls. So underneath you're going to have some hydraulic lines as well. And once we remove this cover, we'll be able to see what's under there. Okay, so that's our next step. Like I mentioned, we have to get those 2 screws off and this 1 bolt up front. Okay. That was just a 10 millimeter. This one here is going to be a bit trickier. It's got an Allen head on it. Okay, and I don't want to remove the seat, so what I'm going to do is slip this in there and use my wrench to turn it. Okay, the top one is loose. Wow, that's tight. Okay, so let's reposition this. Wow, that screws tight. I'm hoping it loosened up, let's say. Yep. Sometimes you get into these cabs, it could get a little bit uncomfortable. But it's just part of what we do, right? Not very much. Okay. Another thing we might have to do is remove this joystick. Okay. We might have to just loosen it off, and we might be able to slip our ignition switch through there. The thing is, we don't know how long those wires are, so I think I'm gonna have to pull some more screws out of this. There's gonna be screws somewhere. Yeah, and I'll have to remove this back cover, this one back here as well, because I have a feeling that the bolts are gonna be under there for that side cover. If you don't pull these screws out all the time, if you're not in here all the time, they get a little tight, and you just gotta give them. That's why I'm using this wrench here, so I can get I grab the bit and I use the wrench to actually loosen off or crack them loose. Okay, Sometimes you just don't have enough, or you can't get your arm in there, or you just don't have enough movement, and this helps out quite a bit. Okay, so it helps to crack them loose. That one's out. There's one more a little further down. Like I mentioned in one of our other previous videos, sometimes you can't always see the work that you're doing, so you have to kind of feel your way around, and that's all you can do. Okay, so I got this other cover off. Okay, that's where the two bolts were, or the two screws with the Allen head. I'm just gonna leave that plastic back there, and there should be, yeah, there's two covers right there. Okay, so that cover is being held by two 10mm bolts, and I'll just use my wrench on it. Now hopefully those will be the last bolts that we have to remove. Yeah. Voila. Okay. And there it is. That's the cover, and here's the two bolts that I just removed. They go into these positions here. 10mm bolt head on it. Okay, and we're just going to place this cover in the back. Right there. Let's try it again. Okay, so they've actually wrapped they wrapped the switch beautifully. I don't know if you can see it. Okay, they wrapped it in some sort of cloth. I'm not sure what that cloth would be. Okay, so it's wrapped in a cloth, and I'm gonna have to figure out how to disconnect it. Okay, I'm hoping that there's a plug at the bottom somewhere, but we may not get so lucky. All right, I'm gonna have to get my side cutters to cut this, because it's held on with tie straps. So I gotta cut off the little tie straps. So I'll be right back. When the ignition switch is in the console, we notice it was wrapped in this cloth, okay, and you can actually see it looks like fiberglass. All right, so we cut the lines, we removed it, but it was wrapped like this. Okay, so when we put it back, we're actually going to rewrap it. Okay, this is the new one that's going to go in there, but after we reconnect all the wires, we're going to rewrap it in this cloth. And you know, I'm using gloves just because, just in case, right? I don't want to be all itchy for the rest of the day. So if it is fiberglass, you can see there's little things flying everywhere. Okay, we don't want to breathe all that stuff in, so that's why I'm outdoors, right? Okay, but when we put it back on, we're going to put it back just the way it was. It had two plastic ties on each end, and it was wrapped just like that. So once we get all these lines back on, we're going to put this cloth back around it, tie it back up. In order to get you a better view of this ignition switch and changing, I could have actually just changed them where it was, because I've done almost impossible things before, but it's very tight in there. But just to get you a better view on how I'm going to change these cables over, or these wires, okay, over to the new connectors, I had to actually pull these clamps off, okay, and they're held on. These two little clamps are held on by these massive bolts. All right, I don't know why they're so big, but they're big, and they were very tight. So I struggled with those a little bit. I'll just put those in a coffee cup, coffee holder, and then we can actually play around with this. So let me just put my glasses on. If not, I won't be able to see anything. Before you remove anything, make sure that everything is identical, okay? You want to make sure the nice thing about this machine here, everything's marked. You see, there's a C, there's an ACC for accessories, C is for cranking, BR is probably a battery power, there's probably another B somewhere, there's an R1, there's another one here that's empty, maybe it's the R2, let me just come in here, yep, R2 is actually empty, okay? So, yeah, it's pretty much identical. R1, R2. So it'll sit something like that. Okay. Now, because everything's marked, okay, it's not a problem just disconnecting everything. All right. You can see one here that's all sealed up. That's probably the one that comes right from battery. Let's see if we can. Yeah, it's the battery one, B. So this one here that looks all insulated like that, that's your B wire, okay? That's where your battery power comes in. So that's why they have it insulated, okay? And everything seems to be in the same position. Because everything's marked on the wires, if you have a close look in here, you could probably see that they're all marked too, okay? There's your BR, R2 is empty, there's your R1. This one here is your battery, the one that's covered there. This other one here is your C, okay, your cranking, and ACC is your accessories, okay, or I guess your run position, okay. And yeah, that's about it. So everything's there. We can just pull them all off, but you know what? We're going to do one by one, not to make it harder for us, but just to make sure that you do it the right way if you ever need to, and making sure that you don't lose track of any of the lines, okay? Like I said, we're lucky that these are all marked, but it's nice to do one by one. We'll just loosen all the new ones off. And because we're in a very tight area here, you'll notice I have an extra long screwdriver, okay? Gives you a nice reach when you need it. Okay, and when you can't really when you're a little wide like me, you can actually get your screwdriver in there and one arm in there as well, so it makes it much easier to work. Okay, so now that they're all loose here, we'll go to our old switch, okay, and we'll just start. Let's just start right at the C terminal. Okay. Okay. So we'll look for the C terminal. We have enough screws here. I'm just going to dump these on the floor for now. I'll pick them up later. Where's our C terminal? It's this one right here. Okay. We're going to switch the B last, okay? So I'm starting. Well, I already lost. I lost the washer already. Okay. There. I stole the old one. Okay, so we have our B terminal there. Just like that. Next one is our ACC, accessories. Take this one. Wow. Again, I think my thumbs are too big today. You've heard that saying when they say that you're all thumbs today? Well, that's what they're talking about. Okay, so I'm just making sure that's ACC. Yep, and it is ACC. I'm going to bring that one there. Okay. My next one over. BR. So your BR terminal there, like we mentioned, that could be the battery relay terminal. We're just going to make sure it's the same one here. Yep, it's the same one. That over there. Okay, that's in place. Next we have our R1. Okay. R1 is a special terminal. Okay. It actually, I believe it goes to the, if I remember correctly, it goes to the terminal on your charger, on your alternator. Okay. Next one there, R2. Okay, so R2, we skipped R2, right? Yeah. And we went to R1. Okay, and I believe that R1 terminal also sends signals to your ECM, to your controllers, okay, to your electronic controllers, or as some would call it, the computer. Okay. These machines are fully electronic. They have fully electronic fuel systems. Very sophisticated stuff. they've done a really good job with these. Okay, and last terminal is going to be our B terminal. Okay, just like that. Okay, so there's our old switch. R2 is the only one that we didn't use for anything. Okay, and we're just gonna put it right down there. Scrap bin. And we got to make sure that we're connecting to the right terminal. We're looking for B terminal, which is this one right here, that one. Okay. Okay, so I put them all on just finger tight, but now we're just going to snug them up. Okay, make sure you don't over tighten them. Make sure you don't strip them. Okay, all you want to do is just snug them up a little bit. A little snug. Just like that. We're going to put our battery cover back on, our battery terminal insulator. Okay, all the way down.
Thanks for all the support so far, especially on this service call series. We love hearing feedback from the community, and if there's anything you'd like to see, be sure to let us know in the comments.
Like that, and then we're just going to tighten all the other ones. Okay, and once again, you'll notice I'm keeping some sort of order here, right? The battery I did removed last, installed last, but now I tightened it up. So now I'm just going to snug them all up, and I'm just going to work from the battery terminal over to the other ones, just so I know that the ones to my left are actually tight. I don't have to recheck them after. Okay, just snug them up. I'm just going to tighten this up so it doesn't come loose. Okay, so they're all in place now. Okay, what I'm going to do is actually I'm going to wrap it around and put that little cloth back on. And I'm going to have to wear my gloves. Okay, but this is how I actually got it up here. I had to remove these other clamps. I don't know if you can see them there. Okay, in order to be able to get this ignition switch out from the back, because it actually didn't fit up this way. Okay, it didn't fit up this way, and it didn't fit through the hole either. So I had to actually loosen them off so I could actually bring it up and work from the top. Yeah, so that's the one we removed. There's another one a little bit deeper in there, and that I had to remove them. Okay, that way I could kind of bring this ignition switch up this way, and we could actually do the work right here, so you can get a better view of it. Okay, but the truth is we didn't necessarily have to remove those clamps. I could have just worked it right here. Okay, as you can see with my screwdriver, and do one by one. I could have just turned it. Okay, and maybe even down here. Okay, in this position, not a problem. Okay, so we're gonna have to wrap it now. Oh, these side cutters are a piece of shit. It's always something, isn't it? These side cutters. Okay, so we wrapped it again in that cloth that was wrapped in, and we're gonna put it back in place now. We're gonna reassemble it. Before we put any covers in, we're gonna retest it just to make sure that everything works okay. And of course, we have to reconnect our battery, right? So let's move forward. Okay. I got the switch in place. I got the clamps in place for the little harnesses in there. I haven't put the covers back on yet, okay? Because before we get too carried away here, I just want to do a quick test, right? Now that the switch is in place, batteries are hooked up, I'm gonna see if my heater works. Okay, listen, see if you can hear the clicking. I hear the clicking. So I'm just gonna hold it for a few minutes. Oh, sorry, not minutes, seconds, just gonna hold it for a few seconds, and then we're gonna put it in the run position. My monitor's working, everything seems to be working, and we're just gonna try and start it. Yep, runs nice. Okay, we'll let it run a little bit later just to warm it up a bit. But you can see everything runs nice now. The key goes in nice and smooth. It's a brand new, it's a brand new key, and it's also a brand new switch, so it better work good. Okay, so it's just confirming that all our connections are good. Like you saw there, there's no way you can make a mistake on it. Everything's marked and pretty straightforward, so it's not bad. Yeah, so I'm just gonna finish putting the covers on, and then we'll just do a quick retest, and then we should be fine after that. We can call it, we can consider it done. So we got our switch in place. The old one was faulty. It would actually seize in there. The tumbler was kind of very tight to go into some of the positions, so we replaced it. In order to change the switch, we disconnected our battery. Once we got all the work done, we got it back in place. We tested it. It was doing well, so we just decided to call it, put everything together and call it done. Consider it done. So other than that, that's how you replace a switch on a PC200 excavator.
With the ignition switch complaint resolved, let's get that vent replaced. The process is simple and should only take a few minutes.
You'll notice that the vent is missing here. I don't know if somebody pushed it out or pulled it out, but we're going to install this new one in, all right? We can't force, well, I guess we could force it in, but that's not the idea, right? The idea is that we gently put it in there. So before we do that, we need to remove this front cover, okay? There's a screw here. It's just an Allen head screw. We can pull that out, just like that. Now this cover should just pop off like that. This goes like that. I believe it goes in here first. There's a little, you'll notice there's a square end on one side and just a little round pin on the other, okay, and that's where it pivots. So it fits square end first, just like that. Put this end in, just like that. And there you have it. Okay, it's in place. And I believe you can also change the direction of it. Okay, so let's put it back in place. Let's reinstall this cover. You'll notice there's a little guide tab on there, holds it in place, and then it's going to be a little tricky to get back in here. Yep, and it had to get caught right there, didn't it? Just like that. Okay, so that little bottom tab there is getting caught. I'm just gonna lift it up a little bit. There. Just like that. Okay. And we're just gonna put our screw back in place. Voila. There you have it. To support this channel, you could like, comment, and subscribe below. So if you need any parts or components, please visit fortishd.com.